Hello, everybody. My name is Nicole Curtis. I'm from She Rises Studios, and I am so excited. Today, we're going to let's talk all about Scotland. And I am joined here by three beautiful, incredible women. Our book, Unleash Her, just released October 25, and something incredible happened where these wonderful ladies were able to launch it international in Scotland. And I am so excited to hear from you ladies of just the journey of it, how it all involved. So I'm really excited to dive in. But before we do, I would love it if each one of you could introduce yourselves, tell everybody where you're from, because we're all around the world. And I would love to hear more about your Scotland journey. So with that, Julianne, if you want to kick us off.
Sure. My name is Julianne Williams. I am one of the authors in Unleash Her, and I live in a tiny town called Kingsburg, California. Yes, that's it, right behind me here too.
Yeah.
Where I was born, and I'm a former skilled nursing care operator, and now am launching my career in speaking and authoring books.
Yay! Go ahead, Annabelle.
So, well, do you know what? I feel like a bit of an imposter because I wasn't involved in Unleash Her. But as soon as I heard that Julianne and Yana, because we've got a She Rises Europe group here, as soon as I realised that they were going to be launching in Edinburgh, I'm just across the other side of the country, sort of 80 odd miles away on the west coast of Scotland. I thought I must go over and be part of this launch and meet these ladies. I'm contributing a chapter to the forthcoming Dream Big, Do Bigger, which is out in January. But do you know, I've been a member of the She Rises community now for all of like 2 months, next to nothing. And yet it is one of the most inspiring and genuinely inclusive groups that I'm part of. And I'm in my 50s. I've been in quite a few. And so it was an absolute joy to go over and hear Yana and Julianne talking about their experiences with Unleash Her and feeling that I've known them for ages, to be quite honest. So it was just an absolute delight. It was a no-brainer. They're going to be in Edinburgh. Let me go and meet these ladies and find out more about their journeys. And we continue forward together in some shape or form.
Oh, you're so sweet, Annabelle. And we are so excited to have you in the Dream Big, Do Bigger book. That book is going to release January 31. So be on the lookout for that. But Yana, beautiful, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Oh, Annabelle and Julianne brought so much memories just now. I still remember when Julianne arrived late at night in Scotland from the other side of the world. And Annabelle was definitely not an imposter. Okay, shush on you.
It's just people saying, and you've been involved in the book. And I was going, no, I haven't. It's them.
You are. But right, so I live in Edinburgh, Scotland. Actually, I live in Edinburgh, but I'm originally from Bulgaria, and I am the biggest fan of psychology and questioning everything. So when I joined the She Rises Studios earlier this year, I was absolutely amazed by the ideas, the inspiration, the dedication, the commitment, the questioning, the everything, basically. So a few months down the line and almost Christmas, and I'm still heavily involved with as much as I can.
I love it. Well, I have to ask the question. So how did you get the book signing inside the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle Center, was it, in Edinburgh, Scotland? That's where it was located, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
So how did that all unfold?
That was such a long story. So basically, a lot of things were happening in the States. And I was sitting here in Edinburgh, and, I was attending calls and joining panels and watching stream lives and everything. And I was thinking, it's just so unfair. Like, I'm on the other side of the ocean. I want that buzzing thing going on over there. And it's just me here. So I literally messaged in the group one day, and I was like, I'm thinking about making a lounge here in Edinburgh. Does anybody available to join, fly over? And I remember Julianne was literally one sentence, amen. And I'm like, huh?
Julianne's amazing.
Like literally, she didn't ask anything. She was like, okay, amen, I'm coming. And I was like, okay, this might actually work. So it wasn't until later when she messaged me again and she was like, flights booked, hotels booked, I'm coming on this day. And I'm like, I need to do something. It's like it's happening. So it was a big choice for me to actually find the perfect place, because I wanted to be quite specific with the thematics behind Unleash Her. I wanted to make it very close circle, like an environment where people can be real and vulnerable and ask questions and discuss and communicate. So I started researching where it can potentially be. And there are a lot of places in Edinburgh where you can actually do such an event. And they're all very with its different character. But the ladies from the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle Center were the most flexible, excited, engaged. I think they were actually more excited than I was for the whole event. And, it came to the point where I had the perfect environment. I had the perfect hosts. And I had the perfect audience with the perfect partner in crime sitting over there.
Oh, I
Julianne,
love
that's
it.
you.
What an experience. I mean, you literally took Unleash Your International. Yes, it's an international bestseller, on Amazon. It's gone international bestseller in 5 countries, 28 best-selling categories, but you literally took the book international. And Julianne, for you to fly across the world to be part of that, what an experience. I'd love for you to share, what was it like coming together in unity as a team and just being in the space together and sharing how Unleash Her has meant to you and what is the message in the book? I would love for you to share a little bit with the audience of just what was it like meeting each other and being in it together. Annabelle, I know that you are in the book, but I mean, for you to take time out of your busy schedule and life to travel and be part of it and support, that's one of the things about She Rises Studios is that it's collaboration over competition. Yep. And all of us are here to help support, help rise, elevate, and help each other expand in life and in business. So I'd love for you to share a little bit just about your own personal stories with what it meant to meet each other and be in that environment together.
Well, don't laugh, but I'm actually getting very emotional thinking about it. It was really such a special experience. So, Yana and I had talked on the phone several times, and she was on my podcast. So we really, but the first time we talked, it was really about her being on my podcast, and we just really clicked. And I am a lover of psychology too. My undergraduate degree is in that. And so when I got there, the first thing is I got to have dinner with Yana's family and some of her very close friends. And so, with her mom and her sister, it really was incredible to I got there. It's like we knew each other forever. Her family treated me like I was part of the family forever. And it just was the most lovely and humbling experience. I just feel so emotional because to be welcomed, in that way. And so that sort of started, that was, I guess, sort of how the trip, the theme of the trip was. And so when the next day, and let me tell you, Yana did all of the work. I showed up. And so, yes. And, the next day, everything was set up and it was a very intimate environment. And so, it was exciting. And we, read from our book, both of us, the excerpts that we really wanted to share. And then, really, okay, so the icing on the cake was Annabelle. And again, it was so interesting how when, she walked in and we saw each other and then we hug and it's like, oh, hey, sister. I
love that.
It's this instant bonding and it's very hard to explain. And people might think you're a little bit, crazy, but it is this instant bonding. And so it was just so wonderful to have this environment of people caring about each other, wanting the best for each other. And then when we, did the launch, the audience that Yana had invited it was a very broad audience. So there are people from many walks of life, both men and women, by the way. So there are also men at the Unleash Her unfolding, including Annabelle's partner, who was just lovely. And the questions and the conversation were very authentic and very deep. We talked, my particular chapter is about rising after losing my husband to suicide when I was 36 and he was 38, and I had 2 small children. And the amount of conversation around people sharing even their own personal stories through that, it was absolutely incredible. Where people were so vulnerable in a room where they did not know everybody else, but they felt compelled to really help other people that are around them. So the book inspired them to help others in that particular time. So I thought it was really one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had in my life.
Oh, that's amazing. What about you, Annabelle?
Well, it was, as I say, one of those things where it's like, oh, I'll go over to Edinburgh, and I'd said to my partner, oh, Saturday book launch, and he was like, no, okay. And like Julianne has just said, Yana did all the work, I showed up. I think you two did all the work, and Andy and I showed up and ate all the sandwiches. But there we were, and it was. I didn't know what to expect. And Yana, exactly as Julianne has described, it was like, hey, it was as though we'd known each other for ages. It was like, these ladies are my tribe. These ladies are my tribe. There was such an instant connection, and exactly as Julianne says, it's not easy to articulate because it sounds like, yeah, right. No, there is really something. There's a really, really powerful connection there. And the event was, I've been to book launches before where it's been, very sales and markety, and it's been a bit of razzle dazzle. It's very much about like authors in the spotlight and so forth. It was such a lovely event. And Julianne had said very generously, because it was these ladies, it was their event. And it was obviously about Unleash Her. They said, would you like to step forward and say a few words about dream big, do bigger? At which point I'm thinking, oh, crikey, I hadn't thought I was.
You got put on the spot.
So like, quick, think of something sensible to say. But again, just as you described, Julianne, it was like, for these ladies to be reading their own words from that book was so powerful. And that really, when somebody does that in that way, it tacitly gives everybody else in the room permission to go, yeah, I see you, I hear you, and I've been through something. Not even I've been through something similar, but I've been through something that has had that profound impact on me as well. And it's so rare in this life that we get opportunities to do that, to listen to somebody speaking in a really raw and open way. And it was a genuinely magical event. And, just with the people in the room, the vibe was, again, it's difficult to articulate, but it was such an authentic, an open, a warm, a collaborative vibe. It was just fabulous. And the way that these two ladies, hosted and led it was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And I think everybody in that room would have been affected, would have been impacted by it. And so when we were leaving, my partner said, so how long have you known them for? And I was going, well, I met Julianne at the start of the session, and I was speaking to Yana last week. He was going, no, but how long have you known them? I was going, yeah, that long. And his impression was that you'd known them for a while and you're meeting up. And I was going,
yeah,
no, that's what it felt like.
Yeah,
clearly that's what it looked like. But yeah, so it was absolutely genuinely wonderful for me to be there and to hear something of your stories. Obviously I've got the book, it's signed, I'm reading it. But and just so many powerful, there it is, so many powerful powerful, powerful stories. It speaks to the human spirit. It really does. It really does.
Oh,
Well,
I got
and one other
goosebumps.
thing that I want to say is that these ladies actually let me in the She Rises Europe chat. So I get to
European.
Yeah, so I am honorary, and that's how fun it is, and so I get to keep up with all of them, which, just makes me feel like really special and a part of something that is so much different,
Yeah.
It was really sweet of them to invite me in there.
Yeah.
So-
Yanni, I was going to say, what was it like for having these two wonderful ladies come through all of that process of creating and putting things together and then meeting for the first time and then going through that experience, especially with what Annabelle just mentioned? What was that like for you?
So I didn't believe it's happening until the last possible moment, until I actually saw Julianne walking in and be like, hello. But, it was quite funny because Annabelle and I were supposed to have dinner the same week when Julianne was arriving from the States. And so I was keeping it in secret that Julianne is coming. And I wanted to surprise Annabelle, like we're besties for like ages, and I'm making her a big surprise. And I've never seen the woman in my life or the other one, for fact. And I can't remember. I think Julianne mentioned in the chat in the She Rises Studios Europe, and she completely ruined the whole surprise.
Yeah,
and she was like,
I'll see you on Saturday. And I was going, what? Wait, what?
So I basically messaged back and I'll say, well, surprise.
Yeah, the cat was out of the bag there.
Nice. You guys are funny.
Anyway, we couldn't actually meet with Annabelle because there were so many things like finalizing and getting in place before the big event on Saturday. But I was so nervous when I was opening the whole event. So nervous. I am not sure if everyone else knows. I mean, my closest family and friends know. It's like my voice starts shivering and I'm getting all red. And I think when I've opened the whole event, I remember Julianne was like, I finished my first sentence and Julianne was like, thanks everyone for respecting us and for showing up for us here so we can tell you our story. And I was like, oh my God, this is real. So yeah, I really have no words to explain the gesture that Julianne did, the effort that Annabelle did, bringing her, partner into the whole event and just being there for us, even though it had nothing to do with her, right? I never even told her that I'm going to ask her to speak about the upcoming book. It was literally like, there's a microphone, speak.
I did get a few minutes notice.
Nice. So I love for each one of you to share, what was your favorite part about Scotland in the book signing? Who wants to go first?
I will. Do you know what? This is part of the reason for going over there. I've lived in Scotland for best part of 30 years. I'm from the southwest of England originally, but I feel tartan scarf here, folks, especially for you. It's a pashmina, actually. It's quite nice. But it's one of those things that Scotland's a small country and often overlooked in the grand scheme of things. And I just felt like, yay, this is Scotland. There's the whole She Rises thing, and obviously enough, the bulk of it is in the States because that's where more people are. But I was going, yeah, there's a Scottish contingent here. There's something happening here. Of course, I'm wanting to be part of that to go along and support because it's here.
Yeah.
So I felt actually really, really proud that this launch was happening here.
Love it. Julianne?
I think, there are sort of two favorite parts, like I was saying. So the first thing is just arriving and meeting Yana and her family in person and just being welcomed in. I can't explain to you how warm her family is and how loved I felt instantly. And then what was really special is that I think we were all invested in one another's success in the event. You know, obviously you want to be successful, but I think we were all very concerned about how we were supporting one another. And I think that's a rare scenario these days. People tend to worry more about themselves. They forget there's enough abundance for everybody. But the environment, like I said, it was, and as Yana said, was perfect. But it was really people invested in one another's success. And then the last sort of thing, which I think it's 3, you told me too, but I sort of couldn't not mention this. We got to celebrate Yana's mother's very important birthday.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it was festive, and you know, I mean, who gets to celebrate a milestone birthday just by chance? I mean, so the day was perfect, and yeah, it just could not have been more perfect.
What an experience. Oh, I have goosebumps. I just absolutely love how powerful this is for women all over the world coming together for the common, just wanting to serve and support and help others, but sharing your stories and your testimonies, and then having the environment so comfortable that allowed other people to be vulnerable and share, you know, their thoughts or their feelings or their stories. I mean, what an environment you 3 created. I mean, really. Yana, what was it like? What was your favorite part of, you know, the Scotland book signing and all that transpired?
You know, it was quite funny because indeed, my entire family pretty much met with Julianne, and it was my mother's birthday on that day. But I still remember when I was telling my mom that this woman, Julianne, will fly in from the States and will come in here, and we've never met, and so on. And my mom was like, and so you spoke only over the phone? And I'm like, yeah. And she will come here just by trusting you. And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, you could be a murderer. And I'm like, is that the mom in you speaking at the moment? Because, you know, I'm telling your daughter. And she was like, but this is insane. And she's just trusting you and coming here all by herself without anybody else. And I'm like, no. And she's never been to Scotland. I'm like, no. So I think that was like the first thing that kind of struck me, and being like, this is a massive gesture indeed, like a big trust, a big faith in what I'm doing and what I'm proposing. And I think the first moment, kind of my favorite first thing, was basically when she entered and we all went to dinner and talked and chat and laughed and everything. And then when she backed me up throughout the entire book launch, the signing, the everything, and she was extremely welcoming to everyone that I've been inviting. You know, that they all had questions for her because she shared her story. They started asking about different things, advices, you know, corporate environment even. And then everyone started questioning about the next book that's coming from Annabelle, and things kind of picked up slowly but surely. So overall, nothing is impossible. I mean, if you want to do something, no matter if it's on the other side of the ocean, and no matter, you know, what exactly you're planning, you just need the people around you to be on board, and job done.
Can I just jump in? Because I forgot to say what my favorite bit was. And it's like, without a doubt, the standout for me, and I've mentioned this already, but just to reiterate, was hearing these 2 ladies reading their own story in their own voice. Was massively, massively powerful. And I think it's just not just to hear that, but it was also the kind of permission that it gave for everybody else to start telling their stories too. And we need more stories like this because they're genuinely inspiring. But that for me was the thing, was to hear you 2 speaking in your own words. It was a genuine joy and a privilege to hear that. I really felt that I was part of something very special indeed at that moment.
So with the Europe group chat, what's next for Unleash Her, Yana and Julianne and Annabelle, with the Dream Big, Do Bigger book coming out? Have you, has there been any thoughts of another collaboration of launching or anything in the works?
Yana set the bar pretty high. So all right, okay, no pressure.
I know I just threw you on the spot, didn't I?
No problem.
So,
I think Julianne have never been to Glasgow, next on the roadmap.
right.
Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Well, and oddly enough, one of my closest friends, her daughter goes to college in Glasgow, so she even got to be a part of the book signing
yes,
and
that's
heard
yes.
everything. So it was really fun that Rose was able to be with me too. It was like everything just was perfectly intertwined. It just could not have. God brought us together, and it was amazing.
Most definitely, yeah.
Some things are just meant to be.
Yeah. I'm so proud of all three of you. So before we leave here, I'd love for you to take 1 to 2 minutes and just share a little bit about how Unleash Her has changed your life.
Okay, I can start here. It definitely changed my life completely, to be honest. It pushed my boundaries. It changed my thinking. It showed me that it's not just black and white. There are so many colors in between. Not even to mention the amazing women I met, the incredible support. I mean, Hannah from She Rises Studios, she joined us during the book launch. And I think it was pretty early in the morning for her. I think it was like 5 o'clock or something. And she was rising and shining over here in Scotland. And people were excited to meet with her as well, because they knew she's kind of the woman behind doing everything. So my imagination is just endless at the moment, completely endless. And I've been reaching out to both Julianne and Annabelle, and my brain is buzzing with ideas, and there's just so much more we can do. So thank you, Unleash Her and She Rises Studios, and thank you massively.
I love that. Well, I know that to speak on behalf of Hannah and Adriana, they're huge supporters of you, of all of you ladies, as well as the whole community, everybody that's part of, all the book collaborations that we've done and released. And it's really what their mission is. One of the things that they envisioned was women all over the world coming together and collaborating and to serve that purpose of that mission. And each one of these book anthologies that She Rises Studios releases, comes from a piece of Hannah and Adriana's heart. And it warms them to be able to see that there's women like you, beautiful ladies, that have they have a voice that wants to be heard and a message that needs to be shared, and stepping out and rising in that and elevating in that in life and in business. And so we're so very proud of all three of you. It's just been on this side of it. It was really exciting to watch you in action and being interviewed and being part of that environment. And we're just so very proud of you. Annabelle, I know you were not authored in the book, but you will be in a new one soon. But how did Unleash Your, how has it changed you?
Well, I tell you, it's because the bulk of my work over the last 2 decades has been very business focused. I mean, I love what I do. It's working with people, but it's working with people who are leading businesses, and it's about growth and businessy things. I've tended to just to be absolutely blunt, I've lost sight of my femininity because I've been working in a very male-dominated environment, and I've tended to think that my own personal story, nobody's interested in that because business, important things. So that's been the pivotal thing. It's been massively powerful and humbling for me to read these stories and to be at the event and think, oh, look at this women that I don't know, who I might pass on the street and not know or whatever, and think everybody has a story that is a story that needs to be told, a story that needs to be heard by other people, because you don't know with your story who you're inspiring, who's going to read about, like Yana, your story, Julianne, yours, and the other ladies in the book, and think that speaks to my soul. It speaks to my soul. So that has it's actually been a really it was a profound. I know it sounds really strange to say it, a book is, but it's again, you know, as Julianne said, God brought us together. This has happened at a crucible point in my life. So it's been hugely powerful. It's just kind of like parachuted in at exactly the right moment for me. The learning and the impact has been huge.
Well, thank you so much, beautiful ladies, for joining me today. And let's talk all about Scotland. Before I go, I'd love for Yana and Julianne to kind of share a little bit of how people can get in touch with you, especially if they want a signed copy of the Unleash Her book. Where can they go on your platforms or websites, whatever, if you want to share just briefly of where people can go to visit you?
Okay, all right. So it's all on my website, pandorasoul.com. If you want ebook, a signed copy, an email or a chat or a call with me, I'm there.
Love it.
And same with me. My website is www.juliannewilliams.com. As long as you can remember my name and spell it, you can find me. And there's everything on there around, actually my first book, Unleash Her, and coming soon, Mom, to paperback, already launched, Mom Magic Mompreneur. And so that's there too, which is another amazing book from She Rises Studios, and that I got to be a part of, and all kinds of little fun things that I have on my website. So
love it. Annabelle, I know that your book is coming, Dream Big, Do Bigger, January 31. But if you can share with the people a little bit of what you do and how they can find you.
So there's two places to find me. I've written a book before, business orientated book called called what? I've forgotten. Called Get Your Peas in a Row. Get Your Peas in a Row.
I love that woman.
I love it.
So I was on a webcast, a podcast, and somebody said, "Can you recommend a book on that?" And I was recommending all sorts of things. And they said, "And what about yours?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." So it's called Get Your Peas in a Row: 5 Key Factors to Propel Your Business Forward, and that is at annabellebeckwith.com. My business website, which is more about my business and corporate consultancy, is at Yara-Journey. So Y-A-R, not Yana, like Yana's name, YARA-journeys.com. And there's more stuff there.
Well, Yana, Julianne, Annabelle, it was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking your time out and sharing with myself and everybody who tuned in today about Scotland. The Unleash Her literally went international, and I'm so proud of all of you. And so with that, I hope you all have a wonderful day. And again, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.